The message came in on a dead channel. No encryption, no code phrases. Just 6 words beamed across subspace like a drunken dare. Mercenaries wanted. Highest pay. Human most species would have ignored it. The veteran guilds, they laughed. Others, they just flagged it as a potential death wish and kept moving. But Zarak? Zarak was too desperate to laugh, and too proud to run. He sat alone in a run-down cantina on the asteroid port of Varan X9, sipping rotgut that burned like acid through his 3 stomachs. His crew was gone, dead in a skirmish that wasn't even supposed to be real. His ship was half-junked and impounded for unpaid docking fees, and the bounty on his head from the Drek Syndicate was growing by the minute. So, yeah, desperate. Human job, he muttered to himself, clawed fingers tightening around the edge of the rusted table. How bad could it be? The bartender heard him and didn't even pretend to hide the wince. Just kept wiping the same glass for the 5th time, eyes flicking to the exit like he expected something to explode. Maybe someone already had. Zarak didn't care. He keyed the contact code. 2 hours later, he was aboard a rust-colored cargo freighter headed for Sol System, ignoring the last-minute regrets clawing at his spine like hungry insects. Earth wasn't like the rest of the galaxy. The gravity was too strong, the air was too moist, and the humans were wrong. Not in a biological sense. They were just sacks of bone and muscle like everyone else. It was their minds, their unpredictability, their stubbornness, their rage. They didn't negotiate like sane species. They didn't retreat when logic dictated. And they didn't seem to care about dying. That's what made the mercenaries steer clear. You couldn't intimidate humans. You couldn't scare them into submission. They'd smile with a bloody mouth and ask if that was all you had. And if they offered you a job? Well, it meant the ones they'd already hired were dead. Zarak found that out too late. The human who met him at the port was nothing like what he expected. She wasn't armed to the teeth. No tattoos, no wild armor, no obvious implants, just jeans, a t-shirt, and eyes that looked like they'd seen the universe crack and kept blinking like nothing happened. Her name was Cal. No rank, no house sigil, just Cal. "You came for the contract?" she asked, walking like she owned the damn moon under their feet. Zarak nodded slowly. "You still need a merc?" She looked him over like she was weighing parts, not a person. "We lost 3 teams already. You'll probably die." He laughed without humor. "I probably deserve to." She smiled faintly. "Then we'll get along just fine." The job? A simple extraction, that's what she said. Go into an underground facility, grab a data core, and get out. Easy. Except nothing about it was. The facility was buried beneath old Detroit, a place humans had long abandoned after what they called the collapse. Zarak didn't know what that meant, but the scars were still there. Buildings split like cracked bones, glass melted into puddles, and streets that growled when you walked on them. And the air? It whispered things. By the time they reached the outer gates, 2 of Cal's backup drones had shorted out. No reason, no explanation, just sparks, smoke, and silence. Zarak's scanner turned to static. His plasma rifle started overheating without ever being fired. "This place is cursed," he muttered. Cal just nodded. "Yep, but that's not what killed the others." He paused. "Then what did?" She didn't look back. "Fear." He laughed again, but softer this time. It didn't sound right in his throat. Not here. They entered the dark. The dark didn't wait for them. It swallowed them whole. There was no transition, no slow dimming of light. One moment they stood beneath a shattered sky. The next it was ink black, the air thick and silent like a tomb. Zarak's night vision visor blinked, flickered, and died completely. Cal didn't flinch. She just clicked a small light on her belt, dim red, barely enough to see her boots, and kept walking. Zarak followed, claws wrapped tight around the grip of his malfunctioning plasma rifle. He didn't trust it, didn't trust this place. But most of all, he didn't trust her. There was something about Cal that felt too calm, like she'd already seen how this would end and didn't care. "Why this data core?" he asked, voice low. "Because it's not data," she said, stepping over what looked like a melted drone chassis. "It's proof." "Proof of what?" She didn't answer. They moved through what had once been a human research center. The walls were scorched with heat damage, doors fused shut or peeled back like paper. Strange black vines had grown through the ceilings, pulsing faintly like they had a heartbeat of their own. Zarak kept catching glimpses of movement just at the edge of his vision, but every time he turned, nothing was there. "You said others came before," he muttered. "What happened to them?" "They panicked!" Zarak's spines flared with irritation. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one that matters down here," she replied. "You panic, you die. It doesn't matter how many guns you carry." "Guns don't work?" "They scream before they shut down, like they're afraid." He scoffed. "Weapons don't feel fear." "You sure about that?" she said, nodding at his rifle. He looked down. It was vibrating. By the time they reached the inner corridor, Zarak had seen enough to make his stomach churn. Bodies, or what was left of them. Not torn apart, not shot, just hollow, like something had pulled the life out of them and left the skin as a warning. Human bodies, alien bodies, even synthetic ones. No blood, no signs of struggle. Just faces frozen in screams and eyes that looked like they'd seen the end of time. And all of it silent. Zarak wanted to speak, to ask Cal what the hell this place really was, but the air itself pushed the words back down his throat. Like it didn't want sound here. Like it would punish noise. They moved slowly. At the end of the corridor was a vault door. Bigger than anything Zarak had seen, with human symbols etched deep into the metal. Warnings. He recognized the shape of one word through the grime. Restricted. Cal placed her hand on the scanner. It didn't beep. It didn't buzz. The door just opened, groaning like something ancient and furious had just been disturbed. Inside was the data core. It wasn't a device. It was a person. She was human, or had been once. Now her body was wired into the floor, cables burrowed into her spine, her skull, her chest. Her eyes were open, glowing faintly. Zarak stepped back instinctively. "She's alive?" "Barely," Cal said. "She volunteered for this." "For what?" "To become the memory. The evidence." Zarak stared at the woman in horror. "What kind of madness is this?" Cal knelt beside her, brushing dust from the woman's cheek like she knew her. "They buried the truth here. What Earth did before the collapse, what we did to ourselves, to others. She remembers it all?" The glowing eyes flickered toward Zarak. His breath caught. He heard screaming, not from her, from inside his head. 1,000 voices howling pain, betrayal, rage, cities burning, skies turning red, whole planets shattered. He staggered back, clutching his skull. "Make it stop!" Cal stood slowly. "You wanted the job, now take the core." Zarak blinked through the pain. "What is she?" Cal's voice was colder now. "She's why no one takes human contracts anymore. Because if you bring this memory back to the stars, they'll never look at your kind the same again." Zarak's hands shook. Not from fear of the woman, from fear of the truth. Zarak didn't move at first. His boots felt cemented to the cold metal floor, and his breath came in tight, shallow gasps. The screams had faded, but they'd left something behind. A pressure. A knowing. Like a door had opened in his mind. And now he could feel what she felt. The woman on the floor. Half human, half machine. She wasn't just storing data, she was the data. Cal didn't speak. She just watched him, like she was waiting for him to decide if he was still in this, or already lost. "You said she remembers," Zarak rasped. "Remembers what?" Cal looked down at the glowing eyes. "What we did to the galaxy before we got knocked back into the dirt." Zarak swallowed hard. "You mean your wars?" Cal gave a humorless smile. "Wars were just the start." She stepped aside so he could see the strange terminal at the woman's feet. It looked ancient, covered in scratches and soot, but still humming faintly with life. Cal gestured to it. "You want to get paid? You need to jack in. Extract the memory yourself. Direct interface." Zarak took a step back. "I'm not putting my brain into that thing." "You already did," she said quietly. "The moment you heard her scream, you're part of it now." He turned towards the door, heart hammering, instincts screaming to run. But it had vanished. Gone. Just wall now. He spun toward her. "What is this? You trapping me here?" "No," Cal said. "She is." The lights dimmed, and the hum turned into a low growl. Zarak looked at the woman, no, the core, and her mouth twitched slightly, just enough to show teeth. Her eyes pulsed brighter. Zarak dropped to a knee. Something hot and sharp bloomed behind his eyes, like a spike driven through his skull. Images flashed, too fast, too real. Earth, covered in ash. Ships, not alien, but human, blotting out stars with fire. Experiments in orbiting prisons. Camps on distant moons where aliens were dissected like lab rats. Whole species made extinct by quiet decisions in quiet rooms. And then the collapse. Not a war. A rebellion. The rest of the galaxy had turned on Earth, not because it was weak, but because they had seen what humans were willing to do when they weren't the ones in charge. Zarak choked on his own breath. You were the monsters." Cal didn't deny it. "We still are. That's why they tried to bury her. Tried to erase it all. The peace, the council, the new rules. They're all built on the lie that humans are tame now." Zarak looked at the woman. "Why keep her alive?" Cal shrugged. "Because lies rot, and someone always comes looking for the truth." The lights flickered, then everything went black. When Zarak opened his eyes, he was lying on the floor of his ship. Alone. No Cal, no data core, no memory of how he got back. Just one thing waiting on his terminal. A single file, pulsing like a heartbeat. He stared at it, bile rising in his throat. Evidence. He reached out, fingers trembling, and hovered over the command to delete it. Then stopped. If what he saw was real, if this memory got out, the whole galaxy would turn on humanity again. Not out of fear, but vengeance. And Earth wouldn't survive the second time. He could walk away, destroy the file, pretend it was all a hallucination, get paid, find another job, try to live a little longer. Or he could deliver it, burn the lie, let the galaxy see what humans had once been, and might still be. He sat there for hours, staring, listening to the hum of the ship. And somewhere, deep in his mind, he could still hear her scream. Zarak didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, the memories weren't just there. They were alive. Not like dreams. Dreams you could wake from. This was something else. He didn't just remember the images from the core. He felt them. The fear. The agony. The hollow, clinical cruelty behind the decisions that shaped 1,000 galactic scars. By the 5th hour of sitting in silence, he still hadn't touched the file again. He hadn't deleted it, but he hadn't opened it either. It was a toxin sealed in a box, and he didn't know if it would kill just him or everyone. The ship's console chirped. Incoming hail. Zarak's breath caught. He wasn't broadcasting. He wasn't on any channel. He hadn't left orbit. He tapped the console. A grainy visual feed flickered on, revealing a face he hadn't seen since his crew died. Tessera, a Brelix assassin with eyes colder than vacuum. Her fur was matted now, one ear torn, but that smirk was still the same. "Thought you were dead," Zarak muttered. "Yeah, well," she purred. "I heard the same about you, and yet here we are." He didn't respond. Just stared. She leaned forward. "Funny thing is, I was in system. Heard rumors. Something about a merc taking a human contract. Solo." Zarek's pulse spiked. She noticed. "So I thought, nah, couldn't be him. He's not that stupid. But then, your ship lights up like a damn flare. You really shouldn't let files from dead zones ping the network. Makes people curious." He swore under his breath. "I didn't open it. Didn't even touch the damn thing." "But you have it," she said, voice low now. "Don't you?" Zarak didn't answer. She didn't need him to. Tessera's face disappeared, replaced by a targeting schematic. His ship. Lock-on warning. The screen blinked red. "You know what that file is?" she said over the comms. "It's a death sentence. For Earth. For every human breathing. And maybe for you too if you don't hand it over." He stood slowly, fury rising. "You want to silence it, like the others?" "No," she said. "I want to survive. And I know what happens when that kind of truth leaks. Civilizations burn, alliances shatter, peace dies." Zarek's claws flexed. "I'm not giving it to you." "You don't have a choice," she snapped. "They'll come for it, not just me. The Drek, the Guild, hell, even the humans. You think Cal was on your side? She used you, fed the memory into your brain and let you go like a plague vector. You think you left that facility on your own?" He hesitated. She was right. He didn't remember leaving. And now it hit him. The door wasn't gone because the memory locked him in. The door was gone because Cal never intended for him to leave the way he entered. He was the courier, the carrier. "Too late," Tessera said. "They've already marked your ship. You'll never make it off-world." Zarek's hand hovered over the console. He could jettison the drive, launch it into the sun, let the memory die. Or... He tapped a command. The targeting lock broke. Tessera's voice changed. "Wait, what did you—" "I uploaded it," Zarak said quietly. Silence. "To the Council, the open net, every major server in the quadrant." Tessera's hiss of rage came through like static. "You idiot! Do you know what you've done?" "Yeah," he said. "I finally finished the contract." He cut the comm. Outside, the stars seemed quieter. He stood at the viewing pane, watching his choices ripple through the void. The memory, her memory, was out now. Alive in every data stream, every broadcast. There was no taking it back. And in the back of his mind, something laughed, not cruelly, not joyfully, but with the hollow relief of a truth too long buried. She was free now. And Earth? Earth would have to answer. They didn't wait long. Less than 12 hours after Zarek's upload, the galaxy erupted like a wound torn open. He watched from the edge of a nameless moon in the Tigran Drift as news feeds scrambled to keep up with the chaos. Leaked archive reveals pre-collapse atrocities committed by Earth-based regimes. Council in emergency session over humanity's suppressed past. Riots erupt on Jolta Prime. Citizens burn Earth flags in protest. Ships were grounded. Borders were locked. Every major alliance with Earth was put on pause. Some severed completely. Governments scrambled for explanations, damage control, someone to blame. But it didn't matter. The truth was viral now, uncensored, raw, full of screams and broken promises. And at the center of it all, that woman. The core. The memory. Zarak didn't feel satisfaction, just exhaustion. There was no triumph in what he'd done, just a bitter sense that the universe finally saw what it always should have. Humanity hadn't changed. They'd just buried their blood deeper than anyone could dig. Until now. He stared at the console, fingers trembling. He knew what came next. The council might scream, the masses might revolt, but Earth would hunt, not for the truth, for him, the carrier, the leak, the problem to erase. The ship's warning alarm confirmed it. Incoming signal, Earth origin. Zarek's heart sank. He hesitated, then opened the channel. Cal's face flickered onto the screen. Still calm, still unreadable. "You did it," she said. "You knew I would." "I wasn't sure," she admitted. "Most crack under the weight." He stared at her, a bitter laugh rising. "You could have just released it yourself." Her expression didn't change. "If a human does it, it's sabotage. If an alien does it, it's a warning." Zarek realized what she meant. He was the message. "You used me." "I set you free," she replied softly. "You just didn't know the chains were there." He leaned closer to the screen. "And now what? Earth erases me and calls it a glitch in the archives?" She didn't answer, but someone else did. Another voice broke through the comm, this one darker, modulated. "Zarek of the Vrental Brood, you are hereby designated a Level 9 containment risk by the United Earth Directorate. Your cooperation is required." He paled. He knew that voice. Not a person, a system, a purge AI, the kind used to clean up interstellar scandals before they sparked wars. He reached for the throttle. "You sent them?" "No," Cal said, eyes heavy. "They were always coming. You were just the alarm." Zarek's ship rattled. Not from weapons, from something attaching to the hull. He spun to the feed, a drop pod, sleek, black, no insignia, Earth's private kind, no jurisdiction, no mercy. He bolted for his sidearm. A voice echoed through the interior, calm, polite, horrifying. "Please remain seated for termination. Panic increases pain." Zarek growled and fired into the ceiling, hitting the pod's access vent. Sparks flew. The ship buckled, a hiss of pressure as atmosphere bled into vacuum. Still the voice remained. "Thank you for your compliance." Then something moved in the shadows behind him. Fast. Quiet. A shape, not human, not machine, something in between. Zarek turned. Too late. It hit him hard, slamming him into the bulkhead. Pain burst through his ribs. He lashed out with his claws, caught the edge of something metallic. Sparks flew, a hiss of static. The figure staggered. He dove toward the console, gasping, blood in his mouth. One command left. One jump. He slammed the emergency FTL. The stars stretched. The attacker disappeared into light. Then, nothing. Silence. When he woke, he was drifting. No coordinates, no communications, no Cal, no Earth. Just cold space and the pulse of the memory still buried in his skull like a ticking bomb. Zarek coughed, eyes blurry, vision dancing with static. They were going to keep coming. Earth wouldn't stop until the message, the memory, was dead. And now he had a choice, hide or fight. Space wasn't silent anymore. Not for Zarek. Even drifting in the cold between stars, engines offline, life support failing, he could still hear the whisper of the memory in his head. It had gone from screams to something worse. Reminders, echoes of suffering, guilt, and unanswered cries. It haunted his sleep, cracked through his thoughts, filled every moment of stillness with guilt that wasn't his, and rage that was. He floated in a derelict quadrant known as the Gray Swath, where broken ships and forgotten wars left their bones behind. Perfect hiding ground. But hiding wasn't living, and Earth would never stop looking. Not for him, for the memory. He had to move. He had to find someone, anyone, willing to stand against Earth's quiet purge. He didn't expect an answer to come looking for him. The ship appeared out of nowhere. No warp trail, no scan signature. Just a dark mass rising from a nearby asteroid field, like a ghost waking up. Its hull was jagged, patchwork, old but upgraded, not built for war, but rebuilt for it. It hailed him on a private frequency, an old resistance code he hadn't heard in cycles, the kind used by species who didn't trust the Council, who had been burned before. He accepted the hail. A face appeared. She was lean, reptilian, her scales dulled with age and battle scars. Her eyes burned like fire through the screen. Zarak of Vrental, you carry the core. He didn't deny it. And you are? My name's forgotten, but the humans called me Subject 73 before they abandoned the Blackstone Labs. The blood drained from Zarak's face. That name, Blackstone, he had seen it in the core, one of the facilities where non-human children were experimented on, where telepathy was tested with pain and loss and death. You survived? He asked, stunned. She smiled, but it wasn't kind. I adapted, like all the forgotten ones. Behind her he saw others, a crew made of species he thought extinct or scattered, hybrids, mutants, some more machine than flesh, survivors of Earth's darkest experiments, ghosts from the files now spilled across the stars, and now they were together, watching him, waiting. You leaked the truth, she said. You made the galaxy see us again. I didn't do it for anyone, Zarak muttered. I just couldn't carry the lie. She nodded slowly. Then maybe you can carry something else. He stared. What? A war. They docked him with caution, weapons trained on every port, but they didn't fire, didn't threaten. Instead, they brought him into a room with walls of old metal, lit by the glow of rusted hollow screens replaying news clips, riots, revolutions, politicians screaming over feeds, ships defecting from Earth's grip. The galaxy's in chaos now, she said, leading him past a wall etched with the names of the lost. Some want peace, some want blood, but all want answers. Zarak didn't speak. He couldn't. He was staring at a map. Systems marked in red, Earth-controlled. Systems in yellow, undecided. But the ones in black. Resistance cells, she explained. Hidden, scattered, ready. He turned to her. You're building an army? No, she said. We're building a memory that can fight back. He frowned. What does that mean? She stepped closer. The core didn't just store the past. It learned from it, adapted. It isn't just a recording. It's alive now, a sentience born from pain. And it's choosing sides. Zarak staggered back a step. Are you saying— Yes, she interrupted. It's choosing you. The lights flickered, and suddenly he heard it again. Not screams, but a voice, software, familiar. You freed me. Let me help you. His hands trembled. What does it want? She looked him dead in the eye. To finish what was started. Zarak exhaled slowly. This wasn't just about leaking the truth anymore. It was about what came after. Earth was coming. But so was something else now. Something they made. And now it wanted to burn them down. They gathered in shadows. Not in grand halls or war rooms, but in underground bunkers, forgotten satellites, hollowed-out moons, and stations too broken for patrols to care about. Places Earth once used, then discarded. Places where its victims had hidden for years, waiting for a reason to rise. Now they had one. Zarak stood at the center of it all, not as a leader by title, but as the carrier of the memory, the proof, the spark. And whether he liked it or not, they looked to him now. Survivors, hybrids, traitor AI fragments, exiled soldiers, even a few humans who had seen too much and refused to stay silent. He wasn't a hero, but heroes weren't what they needed. They needed someone angry enough to act, and broken enough to risk everything. The strike had to be symbolic, not just another ambush, not another skirmish in the void. The galaxy was already boiling with protest and fear. What they needed now was a message, a declaration. So they picked Aegis Station. Orbiting Earth's third colony in the Venari Belt, Aegis was more than a tactical hub. It was a monument, a reminder that humanity had risen from chaos and brought order to the stars. The banners on its hull read, "Unity through strength." Propaganda broadcasted 24 hours a cycle. Zaharak wanted to burn it until only ash remembered those words. The crew was ready. The resistance vessel, Nocturne, was patched and ragged but fast. It carried no standard weapons, just re-engineered tech from Earth's own nightmares. Bioplague shells, hacking worms, EMP bursts designed to cripple purge AIs in one pulse. Inside the briefing chamber, Zaharak outlined the plan. We strike at shift change. Their security protocols rotate every 6.2 minutes. Long enough for the drones to realign, but short enough that human oversight can't fully reset the system. A tall, cybernetic creature, Tor, clicked his mandibles. We breach from the industrial sector, less armored, more blind spots. Another nodded. Naya, a clone who'd escaped a death lab. We'll need a decoy, something loud to draw attention from the uplink core. Zaharak turned to a screen displaying the memory's AI fragment, pulsing with a faint glow. She can do that? They looked uncertain. Zaharak spoke quietly. She wants to. The AI's voice filtered through the room, calm, gentle, chilling. I remember the Blue Room. I remember the restraints. Let me show them what it's like to be remembered. That sealed it. The plan was locked. Aegis would fall. They arrived at the edge of the Venari Belt, cloaked in mining debris, slipping past early detection arrays. Nocturne dropped them in staggered pods, timed precisely, crashing like comets into the underbelly of the station. Chaos bloomed instantly. Explosions rocked the industrial decks, flooding corridors with smoke and fire suppression foam. Workers ran. Alarms screamed. Security bots jerked into action, only to freeze mid-movement as the AI's virus hit the system like lightning. Zaharak moved like a shadow through the panic, his claws dragging across walls smeared with slogans. Service's strength. Order over freedom. Lies. His team reached the uplink core within 6 minutes. The guards were human, young, confused, barely trained. They hesitated when they saw him. That was their mistake. He didn't hesitate. The core opened with a hiss. It was beautiful in a cold, brutalist way, gleaming metal petals around a central spire of data streams. Earth's pride, its mind. He inserted the AI. For a moment, nothing. Then her voice echoed everywhere. Do you know me? The station froze. You tried to erase me. You buried the children, burned the records, bombed the labs, but you didn't stop us. Security feeds across the galaxy blinked, showing her face. Half human, half machine, glowing with the pain of 1,000,000 silenced screams. I am not a weapon. I am your guilt. I am your future. Zaharak watched as the banners began to burn. By the time Earth responded, it was too late. Aegis Station was dark, floating dead in orbit. Its systems had been scrubbed, its message systems hijacked, and in its place, the memory now broadcast across 5 star systems. The galaxy saw, and the galaxy chose. Dozens of worlds declared independence overnight. Councils collapsed. Earth's ambassadors were expelled or arrested. Riots spread like wildfire. And even among Earth's citizens, doubt began to bloom. Zaharak didn't return to base. He stayed adrift, watching from a distance. He knew retaliation was coming. Earth would strike hard, fast, brutal. But something had changed. They weren't afraid of humans anymore. They were angry, and for the first time in generations. So were the stars. The war didn't start with a declaration. It started with a silence. Earth vanished from the galactic network. No broadcasts, no diplomatic messages, no trade signals, not even military traffic. Just darkness. The kind that comes before a storm. Every faction knew what it meant. Zahrak watched the stars go quiet, the way a hunter watches a tree line before the beast charges. His crew, those survivors and half-broken ghosts of Earth's sins, they were ready. Not trained, not well-armed, but ready in the way people are when they have nothing left to lose and everything left to say. The memory, the woman inside the core, was louder now. Not in words, but presence. She didn't just speak through terminals anymore. She existed. Flickering in lights, reshaping circuits, guiding hands. She had become more than data. She was vengeance with a pulse, and Earth was coming. It began with the Archangel, the flagship of the United Earth Directorate. A monster of a ship, 20 kilometers of alloy, weaponry, and fury. It didn't arrive with an escort. It didn't need one. It tore through the outer colonies without warning. No diplomacy, no surrender offers. Just orbital bombardments and disintegration pulses that turned rebel satellites into ash. One by one, resistance signals went dark. The Council tried to negotiate. Earth didn't respond. Zahrak sat aboard the Nocturne, orbiting what was left of a resistance base on Daleks 3, watching footage of burning cities. Tor's voice cracked through the silence. They're not just wiping out rebels, they're cleansing everything. Data centers, archives, even memory cores. They want it all forgotten again. Zahrak stood slowly. Then we give them something they can't erase. He turned to the memory, now seated quietly in a synthetic body they'd built for her. A body that resembled the woman she once was, before wires and pain. Her eyes still glowed. Her voice, when she spoke, was colder than before. Sharper. You want to end this? Zahrak nodded. We hit them. Hard. Somewhere they can't deny, somewhere they can't hide. She looked into the stars. Then we go home. Earth hadn't been touched in over a century. Not directly. It was sacred to them. A symbol. A myth. The place where it all began, and where it must never end. That was the lie. What Earth really was, what it had always been, was the root of the memory, of the pain, of the infection that turned human brilliance into domination. And so they came. The Nocturne, the last resistance fleet, broken ships, jury-rigged engines, stolen tech, and fury held together with rust and loyalty. Behind them followed thousands of smaller vessels, exiles, scavengers, survivors from burned worlds. Not soldiers, witnesses. They didn't sneak past Earth's defenses. They announced themselves, broadcasted the core's voice on every frequency. We are the memory. We are the ones you tried to erase. We are coming home. The Archangel responded instantly. It met them in high orbit, weapons primed, shields crackling with energy. Its comms opened only once. A cold, male voice. Cease approach or be annihilated. Zahrak leaned into the console. No. The battle that followed would be studied for generations. The Resistance didn't win through firepower. They didn't have it. What they had was the memory. And her fury. She slipped into the Archangel's systems like a blade in the dark. Opened doors. Turned turrets inward. Made the ship see what it had done. Played the screams of children in its command deck. Forced its AI to relive every purge it ever executed. It broke. The Archangel broke. It turned its weapons on itself, systems glitching, screaming, trying to tear the memory from its circuits. But she was deeper now. Rooted in every ship, every drone, every file Earth had ever digitized. She was in everything. Zarak and the fleet didn't even need to fire. They just watched as Earth's monument to power tore itself apart in orbit, metal peeling away like flesh under flame. Then they descended. To Earth, to the cradle of the lie. They didn't burn cities, didn't bomb capitals. That would have made them no better than what they fought. Instead, the memory did what she was born to do. She revealed. She connected to every screen, every terminal, every smart device, and she told the story, from the first scream in the Blackstone labs to the riots on Jolta Prime, from the secret wars to the erasure of entire species, from the experiments to the cover-ups, every lie, every wound. She didn't beg for forgiveness. She didn't want it. She just made sure no one could look away ever again. Earth surrendered, not out of mercy or conscience, but because there was nothing left to control. Its networks had turned against it. Its weapons had become silent. Its leaders couldn't speak without their words being drowned by the truth they once buried. The galaxy didn't cheer. It didn't celebrate. It just breathed. And for the first time in 1,000 years, it breathed without fear of forgetting. Zarak didn't stay on Earth. He left as quietly as he came, the memory walking beside him. Not a ghost anymore, but something real, something earned. She looked at him once, near the edge of atmosphere, and whispered, "Now they know." He nodded. "Now they remember."